Okay, welcome. I do think we are, yes, we are officially live on Facebook for our informational parent session for 612 students. I just want to first introduce myself. I'm Meaghan Gauthier, the Assistant Superintendent here for Alpena Public Schools. And I have two very important people in the room with me that I would like to turn my computer and just show you on the screen. First, we have Susan Wooden. She is our interim superintendent, and she will be with us for the next few months and helping guide the ship as we learn how to return to school during COVID. This is Lee Fitzpatrick. He is our early college director as well as our parent involvement coordinator, and he has been so essential in helping us communicate out to everybody in regards to all of the changes that are coming up this school year. So the purpose of this session is to give you the nuts and bolts overview of everything that you've been wanting to know on how to make an informed decision to for your student to return to school this school year. So I'm going to start by talking through my slide presentation, and I'm going to give you an overview of each of our options and all the details that go with it, as well as give time for question and answers at the end. So I'll start my screen share. Okay, Lee, I just want to make sure you can see the slide presentation. Okay. Maybe not. We're good. Okay, just wanted to make sure you could see that slide presentation that I have. So let's get back to school. We are so excited to work with you and your children to come back to school this school year, even though we know it's been a rocky road to get there. I want to first start out by thanking you. Being a parent, even though I'm not a parent of a secondary student, I have two elementary age kids, and this has been a really tough year for parenting. And so I want to thank you for your patience as we have been figuring out how to safely return to school under the ever-changing guidance. We know you have many, many important questions, and after tonight, hopefully some of them will be answered, but knowing that we still have questions moving forward. So option one is our face-to-face instruction, and as we know, this is where we want our kids most of our kids to be. Some of you have chosen other options in the past, but in general, we want our kids back in our buildings 5 days per week so we can continue to teach them the way that we always have. During this time, during this pandemic and the requirements that we're expected to meet for health and safety, unfortunately, our face-to-face instruction looks different. So, oopsie, I have the wrong one. Sorry about that, guys. I will go back here. So, we are at the secondary level implementing a hybrid model. We're implementing a hybrid model for the purposes of mitigating risk for COVID-19 transmission. There is no way, like the elementary, that we can keep the kids contained to small cohorts. And so in an effort to reduce transmission, only half of the student body will attend school at one time. If your child's in the green group, which is Group A, Green Group A, they are going to attend on Mondays and Thursdays. If they're in the White Group B, they're going to attend on Tuesdays and Fridays. Wednesdays will be considered remote. So a lot of the questions that parents have right now are, what is it going to look like when my child's at home? And we've been using the term virtual to talk about our Wednesdays as a virtual day. And what I'd like for you to think about and understand is that we are going to have in this hybrid model a combination of face-to-face instruction and remote coursework. The remote coursework is going to occur at home, and it's going to consist of some paper pencil work as we're typically used to. If you have access to the internet, could include utilizing online tools, but it's going to be extended work that's tied to your face-to-face instruction. If it's any work that your student's going to need teacher support for, we'll have to figure out how to provide that teacher support when they're remote, but the goal is to provide the face-to-face instruction needed for successful remote coursework while they're in the building. Considerations will be made for students who do not have access to the internet while home. There's many ideas floating around on how to do this. So when they're at home, it doesn't mean that they are going to have to access virtual meetings, live virtual meetings with their teachers, or they're going to have to access the internet in order to complete their homework. We are going to modify based on your needs that you have at home. We are also reviewing student IEPs and 504 plans to determine if we can bring them in the building 4 days per week. This is because we have students who have disabilities that require more support that could be provided at home while they are at home alone. The slides aren't up. Okay, thank you. Sorry about the technical difficulties here, guys. I realize I'm not sharing my screen, so I will do that. Okay. Is it showing up?
For about 15 seconds.
Okay. We good? Okay. I'm having a couple issues with the slides here. So with our face-to-face instruction, the student start date is September 8th. I'm just going to finish typing this so it's here. If you're considering face-to-face, but you're unsure, you're kind of on the fence, you do have that grace period of 2 weeks. So you could say, you know what, I'm going to give it a chance, and I'm going to see how my child responds, and we're going to give it a go and decide within 2 weeks if this is what is best for our family and my child at this time. After that 2 weeks, we're going to ask that you make a semester-long commitment. And the reason behind the semester-long commitment is that we want to make sure that there's as much continuity in learning as possible. We've lost a lot of time due to this emergency closure, and by going back and forth between options, we're at risk for losing more content and having greater gaps in learning. And so we're recommending that you make a semester-long commitment, and we're going to work with you to help you be successful in whatever you choose. So how are we splitting student groups? So this is, there's a lot that has to go into that, and I don't have a simple answer for you to where you're going to be able to leave today and know exactly which group your student is in. There's been a lot of work put into dividing our groups and modifying schedules in our student information system. So the system that we used is one that keeps households together, and it supports the purpose of splitting kids into cohorts. And we also had to split it in a way that allowed for planning of bus routes. So initially we were going to go by alphabet, but that made bus routes impossible to plan. And so we had to work with a system that kept households together but was able to support our transportation director in planning bus routes. So in the hybrid model, what if you want to switch days for your student? And there could be a variety of reasons that you do that, whether it's you're concerned about safety and cleaning and disinfecting, or often, that we hear from this age group is, I'm not with my friends, I'm not with my friend group. Unfortunately, because of the time it took to switch schedules and the short amount of time, we will not honor requests to change groups or days. Splitting the student body in our student information system has taken a lot of work, and we need to get kids to school and as quickly as possible, and we only have a couple weeks left. APS is implementing also, if it's a health concern, as many safety protocols as possible to implement the alternating days schedule, including cleaning and disinfecting buildings every day, keeping windows open as weather permits to allow for ventilation, and students and staff will be wearing masks while they are in the building, which has been proven to be the best reducer of the best prevention for transmitting COVID-19. So what's going to happen for the first week of school? It's a 4-day week. So we are going to make sure our students are in 2 days a week this week. So on Tuesday, the green group attends. Wednesday, the white group attends. Thursday, the green group attends. And Friday, the white group attends. Now, if you're like, oh my gosh, these are so many details, I can't keep track of them all, please know that I'm giving the nuts and bolts for you to make an informed decision. Once you make your decision, you are going to have communication from your principal that spells all of this out, and you're going to know within about a week what group your student is in. So you don't have to worry about writing anything down right now. It's just to give you an idea of everything all the details we've worked out for each option. So overview of safety measures while we are face-to-face. So masks will be required when students are in the building. APS will provide disposable masks, and personal cloth masks will be allowed. They need to be laundered every day in order for them to be effective. So if you are providing personal cloth masks for your child, make sure you follow the care guidelines. Parents and volunteers are not allowed in the building. This is to reduce as much mitigate as much risk as possible. And by adding more adults into the building who aren't typically there, A, we're exposing those adults, and B, we're exposing those children. In addition, one of the tough decisions we had to make is closing the campus at AHS for lunch. The purpose behind this is to make sure that the safety measures we put into place at school are maintained throughout the day. We can't assure that when students leave our campus and ride with their friends to go eat lunch. At both buildings, students will be spread out during lunch to allow for social distancing, and time has been allotted in between lunches to disinfect tables. District-wide, this is the same as the elementary. We're going to be implementing hygiene practices. We're going to have hand sanitizing stations all around the building, and expectations for when you hand sanitize, and we're also going to teach the importance of hand washing at the secondary level. All staff will be responsible for sanitizing high-touch areas in their space throughout the day, and that means in between classes. So when your student leaves their first hour, the high-touch areas in that classroom where they just left will be wiped down, and then the new group of students will be welcomed to a sanitized space. Every building will be cleaned and disinfected by custodial staff every day. We'll have more time on Tuesday night and Wednesday to get that cleaning and disinfecting done, but regardless, every day the buildings will be cleaned and disinfected. Buses will be cleaned and disinfected in between routes, and students are also required to wear masks on the buses. So this is all, I just wanted to give you the highlights of the preparedness and response plan. Everything I've mentioned is listed in this document, in addition to more specific details if you're interested to know more. Many of the questions during our informational sessions and our community forum were in regards to what am I going to do if my child's sick? What's going to happen if my child's sick at school? So as educators, this is something that we really relied on our medical professionals for, and we are using the COVID-19 Return to School Toolkit created by the Grand Traverse County District Health Department and endorsed by our state groups as well as our district health department. So when we implement the guidance in this toolkit, there will be various scenarios where staff, students, their family members, and possibly classrooms that are strict cohorting, which is at the elementary level, or entire buildings at the secondary level will be required to quarantine. And that is due to contact tracing and whether or not we have a positive case, and how do we determine who's had direct contact with someone who tested positive for COVID-19. And that will all be under the guidance of our district health department. I cannot go through every scenario tonight because there's many scenarios, but what I can do is give you an overview of the guidance that we have to follow. And in addition to this guidance, one thing I want to note is that staff will be provided training on these scenarios, and parents will be provided the complete guidance as well as supported with next steps by the school in the event that their child tests positive for COVID-19 or in the event that their child becomes ill. Okay, so for staff and adults, the guidance that we're following is that if staff show any of the symptoms, so one of the first 3 symptoms or 2 of the 6 symptoms listed on this list, they should not return until it has been at least 10 days since symptoms first appeared, and at least 24 hours with no fever, and symptoms have improved. So this is the guidance that we'll be following for our staff. But more importantly, let's talk about your students. So your student comes to school. You've done your self-screening at home. Your student didn't show any of the symptoms that you're looking for, and you know that you've sent a healthy child to school. They get to school midday, and they start to feel ill. If your student has any of the following symptoms, which is temperature of 100.4 or greater, sore throat, new uncontrolled cough that causes difficulty breathing, gastrointestinal issues, or new onset of severe headache, we're going to ask that you pick your child up from school. One thing to note is that what the district health department shared with us is that the most common symptom for kids when they contract COVID is the gastrointestinal issues listed here on the list. So your student shows these symptoms. We're going to take them to an area where they can be isolated from others and supervised, and then we're going to ask you to pick them up from school. When you pick them up from school, we're going to make sure you have the guidance for your next steps. And the guidance is going to include a flow chart and a list of questions to consider as you determine what you need to do to move forward. So the questions that you're going to answer for yourself are: have you or your student come in close contact with a person with confirmed COVID-19? Has your student had close contact with a person under quarantine for possible exposure? And have you had travel history? The travel history we're going to further define as: have you been to a high-risk area? Were you able to maintain social distancing? And were you in any establishments that did not have strong safety measures? So you're able to kind of say yes or no to these questions. And if you say no, then we're moving into what's in the green, which is where we've always lived before this pandemic. So students may return based on guidance for their symptoms. So if they had a fever, they need at least 24 hours without a fever and without medication before they can return. If they had a sore throat, they need to see improvement before they return. And if it's strep, there's specific guidance there. If they had a cough or shortness of breath, they need to see improvement. If they had gastrointestinal issues, they need to have an absence of that for 24 hours, and they need to see an improvement for a severe headache. So If you answer no to those questions, then you move into where we've been, and we are asking that parents send healthy children to school. If you go through those questions and you say yes to them, then the next steps for you are to contact your doctor or go directly to try to get a COVID-19 test at a testing location in the area that offers free tests. We will not be requiring testing results as a part of the return to school policy. So let's say you go to the doctor, your child is diagnosed with COVID, or there's no other diagnosis that is available that makes sense. So we're asking that your child stays home at least 10 days since symptoms first appeared, and at least 24 hours with no fever, and their overall symptoms have improved. There is a scenario where if you've answered yes and then you go to the doctor or to a testing site, you could, your child could have a negative COVID-19 test result. And this is where the answers to what questions matter. That first question that is kind of outlined in red, if your child has had close contact with a person with confirmed COVID-19, then they need to finish their quarantine. If you've answered yes to only either of the two questions that are in green, then you go back to that guidance that we've always followed, looking for symptoms to improve and waiting 24 hours until they're fever-free or they don't have any gastrointestinal issues. So that's the broad brush strokes for how we're going to be responding. We are preparing to provide our staff training on this, as well as our point people who are going to be working with you in the event that your child becomes ill at school. So what do I need to do to choose this option? So the first thing we need to do so we can get organized with our bus route is go to alpinaschools.com to complete a transportation survey. And this is if you don't want your students to ride the bus, or if you have alternate pickup or drop-off locations other than your home address. So I'm going to take you and show you where that is. So here is our district website. And this fancy little button right here, transportation request, you click on that and you answer these questions, which isn't very long, and you just press next and that will submit your survey or your information. So the next step, So the next step for AHS, you're going to pick up your student schedule. So schedules will be available in Student View and Parent View on Friday, August 28th. And when you get in there, look for the Document tab. We've actually made it so the printed schedule, it looks exactly the same as the printed schedule, and you have to go to your Document tab this time to see it. So on your student schedule, it will indicate what days they will be attending school. So it'll either say A-green M/R, which is my students in, oh goodness, I have a typo. My students in the green group on, this is confusing here, I'm going to escape out. My student is in, sorry about that guys, student is in the green group on Mondays and Thursdays. And then if your schedule says B-white and it has T/F in parentheses, that means your student is in the white group on Tuesdays and Fridays. So your student schedule is going to indicate what group they are in. In addition to accessing your student schedule, we are doing kind of like a drive-by, pick up your Chromebook, pick up your paper schedule, and complete necessary paperwork in the front oval of AHS from 9 to 2 on August 31st, September 1st, and September 2nd. Remember, these are a lot of very important dates that you are going to get as soon as you select this option, as soon as you kind of move forward with face-to-face. So we've given priority for our freshmen to be able to go into their building and walk their schedule. It's important for them to be able to be welcomed by the high school administrative team and find their classrooms in order for them to know where they're going on the first day of school. So the green group is going to be on Monday, August 31st from 5 to 6. The white group is going to be on Tuesday, September 1st, also from 5 to 6. As in the past, this event is for students only, and students will be required to wear a mask. In addition to receiving this as a paper copy in your welcome letter, you'll also receive a robocall in a timely manner in order for you to plan accordingly. For our 7th and 8th grades, we're also asking that they pick up their schedules and they complete the necessary paperwork in that drive-by format. And this is because they've been in the building before and they know the building enough to be able to find their schedule. If something happens and your 7th or 8th grader doesn't know where they're going, an adult will be there to help them. If you're new to the district and you're concerned about seeing any building, in addition to our junior high and high school, contact Lee Fitzpatrick and he will get you into the building so you can get a feel for what it looks like and you can rest your student's mind. So the paperwork pickup and schedules will be on August 31st from 9 to 2, September 1st from 9 to 2. And again, just like the high school, reading your child's schedule, you're going to look for A-green Monday through Thursdays, which means your child's in the green groups on Mondays and Thursdays. This is a typo. And if it says B-white, it means that they are in the white group on Tuesdays and Fridays. Thanks for your patience with this typos on my slide deck. 6th grade welcome night. So many of our 6th grade parents have really been wondering, are we going to be able to do a 6th grade orientation? And we have made this a priority within our district because they're going into a new building. They're likely anxious about finding their classes, switching classes, being in a new building, having a new principal. So we want to make sure that they're in the building and they feel comfortable. So the green group is coming in on Monday, August 31st, and the white group is coming in on Tuesday, September 1st. You will have a robocall given to you, and so 6th grade parents, that's how you will find out what group your student is in. So if your student is in the white group, you're going to receive a call on Friday, and you'll have the appropriate date for the welcome night. If your student's in the green group, you're going to receive a call on Sunday, and then you'll know what night you come for the 6th grade welcome night. Parents are allowed to attend with their children, but we're limiting that to one parent attending in order to reduce the number of adults who are in our building and meet 25% capacity. Parents and students will be required to wear a mask while they're in the building. That provides the overview of option 1. We are on Monday, when staff return, really going to spell out what instruction looks like for your kids in a hybrid model, recognizing that the work at home needs to be done anytime that the kids can get to it, and they don't have to hit a schedule. And then recognizing also that many families don't have access to the internet. So option 2 is our 100% virtual APS online. So why would you choose APS online at the secondary level? So this is not a new program for our secondary students, but there's kind of some new reasons around why we would choose. And the new reason is, APS online is a temporary option for my family during the COVID-19 pandemic. if you're feeling like face-to-face instruction is not for you, but you want to get back there, this is a choice that makes sense for where you're at right now. Some choose APS Online and have chosen for years because this is the preferred method of learning for their student. And others have done a blend of face-to-face and have taken 1 or 2 online courses. We have many students who fit in this category. This is still a possibility even though we're in the hybrid model. And typically it consists of 1 or 2 courses. If you go beyond 2, sometimes we suggest that it makes sense to go fully APS Online, but that's taken on a case-by-case basis. So just like our face-to-face, the start date is September 8th. The 2-week opt-out period is still a part of our APS Online. So if you give it a go and you're like, you know what, I'm here and face-to-face instruction is going okay, and I want to try it out, then we give you that 2-week grace period. After that, we're asking that you have a semester-long commitment. So our shared commitments with APS Online. Our APS commitment is that we purchase the courses for your student. We provide a local mentor to check in with you 1 time per week, typically via email. And then we coordinate special education services through the IEP process. And your parent commitment is to support your child's learning at home by helping with assignments provided by the third-party vendors that your child is enrolled with. Okay, so what do I need to do to choose this option? The first step is to complete the enrollment form by going to our website, and I'm going to go to our website and show you where it's at. So you see as a part of our dashboard this Learn Online link. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click on this button that says Enroll at APS or in APS Online. And then if I haven't already enrolled with the district, I'm going to do step 1. But if I'm already enrolled and just changing my option, I'm going to go right to the student application form. I'm going to complete this form, and I'm going to submit it. And once that form is submitted, it goes to an individual at central office, and that individual makes sure it gets to the right person. So if you are a junior high parent who completes this, then it will go to the junior high counselor. If you are a high school parent who completes this, then it will go to a high school counselor. And from there, your counselor will develop your schedule and get you going on your APS Online. For APS Online students, we're still asking that you pick up your Chromebook if that's a need, and also complete our annual paperwork between 9 to 2 on the following days. So AHS is the first 3 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the week of August 31st, and TBJH is just Monday, Tuesday on that week. Option 3 is our family partnership. So our family partnership is really, when we think about our 3 options, our family partnership is for those parents and families who have a general interest in being their child's primary teacher for those essential course subjects as more long-term option. So we are still having the same start date as September 8th as the rest of the programs, and we have a 2-week opt-out period. After you do the 2-week opt-out period, or after you make it through the 2-week opt-out period, we're asking that you make a semester-long commitment. So what could this look like? What does this look like if you choose this option? There are optional learning experiences offered at Sunset School on Tuesdays and Thursdays on non-essential courses. And then families work with Jen Myers to decide if they need to take any courses from APS Online. The family partnership is such a unique program that meets very unique needs of families that in order to select this option, we're asking you that you contact Jen Myers directly for more information. So that is the overview and the nuts and bolts of our 3 options and the dates that you are needing to figure out how to move forward. Deadline for selecting your option, we're asking that you let us know by August 24th. If you're going face-to-face, the only thing you need to do is fill out that transportation survey and go through the orientation or picking up the schedules that I've listed already. Online, you need to go in and enroll for APS online, and family partnership, you need to contact Jen Myers. So a recording of this session will be posted on our website on August 19th. Please share with your friends who weren't able to make it that this will be available. And thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to open it up to questions. Was I not sharing my screen after a while?
No, you're okay. Will families get a letter with bus route information mailed to them?
At the elementaries, we're looking at doing that at the orientation, and at the secondary level, if we can't get it in time when you pick up the schedule, we'll send them home. So the soonest that we can find out what group your children are in based on the scheduling needs is August 28th for high school, and then the next week, August 31st, September 1st for our 7th and 8th graders. Our 6th graders will know based on what orientation night that they will be invited to, and that will be through a robocall.
Do we fill out a transportation request for each student?
So the question was, do I fill out a transportation request for each student? If the drop-off and pickup locations are different than your home address, but different per student, then yes, I would. Otherwise, just fill out one. So remember, you're filling out a transportation request if you don't want busing, or if you need an alternate pickup or drop-off location separate from your home address.
For families that carpool with other families, can they be put in the same group?
So we have worked our system to make sure households stay together. We did not consider carpooling because that's not information that we have available to us or in our system, and we're not modifying schedules. So if that impacts your carpooling, that is something that we're not intending to create a difficulty on you, but it could happen.
When will, a lot of questions about when students receive the Chromebooks, do you revisit that?
Sure. So I will share the screen for the details. So we're going to do 6th graders will get their Chromebook. Oh, actually, all junior high students will get their Chromebooks once they attend school. We're going to be distributing them in advisory time, so they aren't getting them before school starts. So it's for AHS students only. I'm sharing the screen and sharing the slide. August 31st, September 1st, and September 2nd between 9 and 2. You can drive in to the front oval. You'll get your Chromebook, your printed schedule, and then complete the annual paperwork. So AHS students, let me just repeat, we'll pick it up for the first week of August, on the week of August 31st, and then the junior high students will get their Chromebooks once they attend school.
Can you tell what a typical day of face-to-face will look like?
Sure. The beauty of the face-to-face days, it's going to feel it's going to feel like it's felt while the kids were in session before COVID-19. They're going to be going from go from class to class, and they're going to have all subject areas and electives. So it's going to feel a lot like normal, besides the fact that they are going to be wearing masks. There was a question that I do want to address. there was a question about why not alternating days. So we went back and forth on this, and the having kids come, so like Group A come on Monday and Tuesday, Group B come on Thursday and Friday, and Wednesday was a remote day. That the main benefit for that was for cleaning and disinfecting, but the instructional benefit was a little bit more difficult to find. And so if you look at, I learn a little from my teacher, then I get set up for what I do at home, and then I learn a little bit more from my teacher when I come back. We're trying to make it easier on the kids and how much they have to do independently at home. Of course, we're going to be providing support while they're going through their remote coursework, but it's not going to replace face-to-face instruction. And so we're trying to break up the amount of content that we need to provide them face-to-face so they can learn a little, do a little, learn a little, do a little. So I see a question about what does coordinating special education services look like in practice? So special education services, the only general thing I can say is that it's based on the individual student's needs. So what our special ed team is getting prepared to do is to go through every student's IEP and determine what their needs are. It's tied to what option you select as well. So if you're a student with an IEP who's in an online setting where you're primarily home, your services are going to look different than if you choose face-to-face hybrid. And so it's going through each individual IEP and then determining the level of support that's needed in the new models and trying to meet exactly what was provided when we were going to school face-to-face 5 days per week. So am I automatically enrolled to face-to-face? Yes, you are automatically enrolled. We're asking that you do that bus transportation survey to help us plan for bus routes. Only if you don't need a busing or if you need an alternate pickup or drop-off location than your address. Otherwise, you are all set to go. How we know whether or not you're not going to face-to-face is if you enroll with the Family Partnership by contacting Jen Myers or complete the online APS online enrollment on our website.
A lot of questions about getting the Chromebooks in hand.
So a lot of questions about getting the Chromebooks in hand. So again, TBGH students are getting the Chromebooks once they come to school face-to-face. AHS students, we're asking that they come and to AHS in the first week of August. You'll get that schedule. I'm sorry, the last week of August. The week of August 31st. Sorry, it's been a long day. So we're asking that you come to AHS the week of August 31st. The dates and times will be provided. So you can post it on your refrigerator and remember. And then you'll pick up your Chromebook then. If you're choosing APS online and you need a Chromebook, you will go to the pickup, the schedule and paperwork pickup at the junior high on the times that will be provided, and then you'll also go to AHS to pick up your Chromebook as well. Going to offer after hours for working parents to pick up Chromebooks. If you cannot make the times, that are listed, your student can still come pick up what the student picks up, and then we'll get the parent forms to you in a different way, and then you can return them to us separately. If no one can make the times, just contact your building principal and we'll set up a time for you to get what you need. Will APS online students need a PC or will they get a Chromebook? It doesn't matter if you use a PC or a Chromebook. If you have your own device, you can use your own device. If you are in need of a device, the district will provide you with a Chromebook. Oh, Josh Pagels, that's a really good question. Are you prepared to go full online seamlessly if there is an outbreak or change in phase? So, I love what you wrote there because that's a really good question, and I'm not going to finish your question there, but in the spring, it was legitimately an emergency situation where we were waiting on guidance from the state. And then once we got it, we had to completely transform our instruction to be remote instruction in a way that made sense at the secondary level. Since then, we've provided professional learning on all sorts of things, how to create, how to teach with best practice online in a blended learning environment. We've provided professional learning in Google tools, and everybody's in their mind, all the teachers in their mind are preparing for the what ifs. And we weren't anticipating that before. And so with what we've put into place with a consistent platform at the secondary level, all students will be utilizing a tool called Brightspace. So as a student, I log into my Brightspace, and I have a button for each of my courses. I have my English course, my science course, my math course. I have my entire schedule in there. And so I have a one-stop shop for my courses. In addition, we're really lucky to be in phase 5. I wish we were in phase 6. But since we're in phase 5 and we're starting, even with the hybrid model, we can still start with teaching routines of how to access Brightspace as a tool, how to utilize things like Google Meet, and how to set up your schedule at home for success. And so although I'm sure it will be hectic and we'll feel some anxiety if we need to quarantine or go into, if we reduce in phases, but we're prepared to know how to support our students and how to teach in this environment much better than where we were before. When will we get notified about online schooling? As soon as you complete the enrollment page, you will get a phone call from the Office of Curriculum Assistant stating that we've received your enrollment and that your counselor will be contacting you. Our counselors have returned to work, and so they'll be contacting you within a short amount of time. We are in the last weeks before kids return, in whatever way they return, and so things are going to be moving more quickly, so we can everybody knows how to get moving and how to get started for whatever choice that you select. What about 6th graders who are doing online APS for Chromebook pickup? That's a good question, and we are using the time frame that is established for 7th and 8th graders to pick up their schedules and complete paperwork. So that was August 31st and September 1st from 9 to 2. That's when any 6th grade or any APS junior high online student would go and pick up their Chromebook. Does the pickup apply to 9th grade as well, or will that be during the open house? The pickup applies for 9th grade as well. The open house is really just for our 9th graders to walk their schedule and know where they're going when they come to school. What is being done to keep the halls as safe as possible outside of wearing masks? We are looking at what areas make sense that we can implement one-way traffic flow, and that, honestly is one of the main reasons we've gone into the hybrid model, is because we're reducing our student population by half. And so I know many of you have been in the hallways of both our junior high and high school during passing time, and there's a lot of kids. So we've reduced the kids by half, and we're establishing one-way foot traffic where we can, where it makes sense to implement it. What about kids that need special help in reading? Those, any child who needs additional support in any subject area and who might be struggling, they're the reason why we want to be in school for 5 days a week. I'm just going to be honest. We want all of our kids in school 5 days a week. So if your student is struggling in reading, they'll be able to access support from their teacher during office hours that are going to be set up on Wednesday. Their teacher will also accommodate for them as much as possible by giving them reading material that they can tackle. And then if your student has an IEP because they have reading difficulties, then special education support would be provided. So we're going to accommodate as much as possible for your kids who might struggle in certain subject areas by really considering how to help them be successful when they're remote and making sure teachers are available for support. What about band classes wearing masks? So we are committed to having band and choir continue as electives, but frankly, those are two areas that are high transmission possibilities for COVID. And so they can't wear masks while they're playing instruments. We are looking into other areas, other safety measures, looking into covers for the instruments that cover the bottom where the transmission would be coming out of, but then also using a larger space to meet for classes, and we're cutting the classes in half by going to a hybrid model. And so masks they're not possible with band. They are possible with choir, but they're not possible with band. Can we assume that snow days are now a thing of the past? Oh geez, so we know that we're going to get snow, and we know that there are some days that we are unsafe to report. There is a bill that has been passed in the House that is restricting only 2 forgiven snow days, but we don't know yet. It's the big answer. We know we're going to have snow, and we're going to have snow days. Will we try to do a virtual snow day to see if we can count it as a day of instruction so we don't have to make it up? That is a possibility, but right now we're just trying to get the school year started. Are there options for parents who don't have internet or live in an area with terrible internet who choose to send their kids to school? So we are researching viable options for hotspots, but I'm also in this scenario. I live just outside of the county. I'm a school of choice family, and I have hotspots that just go out on me, and they are often not reliable. So what we're trying to do, especially the district provided ones right now, because the amount of they're only megabytes and not gigabytes. So what we're trying to do is research options that are more viable if you have cell service. If you don't have cell service, then we don't have access to the internet. One of the pieces that we're trying to establish, this won't be created and ready to go right at the start of the school year, but we're looking to establish learning centers in our outlying elementary schools, so Hinks, Sanborn, and Wilson. So we'd have evening hours with supervision where kids could go if they could get there on their own, so they could access the internet and do some of their work. But again, emphasizing the fact that if you don't have access to the internet, we're going to be collecting that information for you. It's going to be right on the teacher's class list. They will know that your child does not have internet, and we'll try to provide as much paper pencil work as possible to help them keep up and to give them an equivalent experience as those who have access to internet. What time will doors open for students each morning for drop-off? And Mr. Behrman replied 7 o'clock. So that would be different than the junior high, and we'll get that information to you. And one thing I do want to apologize about, I did include a slide on the modified school day yesterday at the elementary presentation. I did not include it here. In order to clean and disinfect buses between bus routes, we are shortening the secondary school day by a half hour at the end of the day. So junior high students will be done at 2, and high school students will be done at 2:10. Again, you'll be getting this schedule from in your welcome letter once we get moving and know that you are a face-to-face family.
Questions about the green and white again, when they will know.
So green and white group, we won't know soon enough. I can tell that by our questions, and I understand that you need to schedule and now think about childcare if that applies to your children. So the soonest you will know for AHS is August 28th, and you will need to actually go on to Parent View or Student View and access your student schedule that way. So that's for AHS only. For our 6th grade families, you're going to get a robocall either on Friday or Sunday letting you know which 6th grade orientation you're going to be going to. And that will let you know what group your students are in. 7th and 8th grade, August 31st, September 1st, go pick up your schedule and you'll know what group you're in at that point. What about dual enrolled early college students at ACC? When do we get our schedule and books? That's a great question. Mr. Berriman replied September 8th. Is that correct, Lee?
No, the college starts on the 31st, like we were originally intended to.
Okay.
And so students, there's pickup times. Early college already has the information on when they're picking up. Dual enroll should receive it tomorrow.
Great. So what Mr. Fitzpatrick just said is that the college is starting on August 31st like they intended. Early college already has the information sent to them, and dual enrolled students will have information sent to them tomorrow about when you can pick up your books and start classes. Okay. Who do we contact to reset our Parent View info?
Any school secretary?
Contact your building secretary. So,
For people that are worried about scheduling information, Parent View is an app that's available. They can also access it on the web. It has a lot of the information that people are asking about schedule.
okay, so you can get Parent View app on your phone, and then you can go on the website as well. But contact your building secretary to help you reset your password. Got a couple more minutes for questions.
A lot of questions about when people will get information if they're signed up for APS online.
Yes. So a lot of questions about when are you going to hear from somebody if you enroll in APS online. When you enroll, within 24 hours, you'll get a phone call letting you know that we've received your enrollment, and then within that week, you'll get your counselor will contact you to set up your child's schedule. So I encourage you to, if this is the option you're choosing, to get on the website, enroll, so we can start that process. Even if we choose school bus transportation, is it okay for my son to choose biking on certain days? Yes, it is okay for your child to bike on certain days. How many students to a space for lunch? What is the distance between each student? And will there be lunch lines, and how can they safely distance in these lines? These are the protocols that the buildings are setting up. So we know that 6 foot is the ideal distance, and so we need to be able to spread out and have kids facing one way. But we know we're working with teenagers here. And so we're going to do the best we can to be able to set up areas that are distanced from each other, and then set up the tables so they're facing one way. In addition, we're going to have social distancing signage, and we're going to have adults supervising if in the lines they're clustering too closely. Again, this is completely the reason for the hybrid model, because there's no way to socially distance in a line or at lunchtime if we were in our full student body. Okay, so any last questions, Lee, that well, it looks.
Question about resource room students, where they have access to a resource room.
Yes, absolutely. So if your student's IEP, which is an individualized education plan, requires for time in a resource room, then we will provide that time in the resource room. We are going to work to maintain the level of services that we have provided in a typical 5-day week as much as we can. Because that's what your child is entitled to according to their IEP.
A lot of questions about class size. Is there a cap on the kids getting?
There's not a cap, but because we are cutting the student body in half, we're going to have class sizes between 15 and 20, more likely in the teens, which is going to allow for social distancing a lot better than our typical setup. Yes, it is 6:32. I want to thank you for all of your patience and the few snags I had at the beginning of this presentation. This will be posted on our website tomorrow. So for any of you who need to walk through the slides again, go to our website and then let your friends know who weren't able to attend. We want to get as many people meeting that August 24th deadline as possible. Thank you so much. We can't wait to see your kids, and good luck in making these tough choices.